first one I'm looking at is problem. This one has to do with, I'll go with geography, and it's on the cover page of our class assignment, which we did in class. So, hey, the first thing you should do whenever you want to solve one of these types of problems, let me go open up the screen, is sketch a model. And it has to be a complete model, guys. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is sketch a complete model. It looks like this here. So we put 0% here, 100%, because we're trying to measure percent increase or decrease. We're not just trying to do a calculation, a simple calculation. It's a little bit more complex than that, because we are actually writing in proportion to solve this type of problem. So if you're just doing some scratch work over the side, that's something you would do in a 7th grade math class, or maybe in an 8th grade math class. But at this level, we are writing proportions to generate equations, to solve equations. And what we're looking at is percent increase or decrease, but we have to represent it. Otherwise, if you're doing it any other way, you're not really showing that it's the type of problem that it is. And here's an example of geography. It says the distance from Phoenix to Tucson. So I'm going to put here, Phoenix to Tucson is 120 miles. So I just put that right here because the distance is 120 miles. All right, but then it says that the distance from Phoenix to Flagstaff, and that would be here all the way to Flagstaff, a different city, it's 21.7% longer, 21.7. So I'm kind of giving a visual, and this is what you need to do. Otherwise, you're just putting numbers on a model and you have no idea what they mean. So the question is, we want to find out to the nearest mile what's the distance from Phoenix to Flagstaff. So the only clue we have is we do know from Phoenix to Tucson is 120 miles. And so that's going to be from Phoenix, I'll put P here, all the way to Tucson. That's right here. That's distance is 120 miles. Phoenix to Tucson. It's 120 miles. That represents 100% of the distance. But we know that to get from Phoenix all the way to Flagstaff, it's a little bit further, and that's a percent increase because they're telling us it's 21.7% longer, which means this is my model to show that. So this is 21.7%. So you got to have a model, and you got to fill this in. And a lot of you guys aren't filling it in. It needs to be filled in because this represents, this little box that we just increase by represents the big ideas, the increase and the number of miles. So this is going to be 121.7%. Make sure you put your percent signs. Hey, we're trying to find this amount here, the distance all the way from Phoenix to Flagstaff. So that would be this X, this unknown amount here. So the way we do that is we generate a proportion. We write a proportion, and it's 120. This number over this number, 1 over 100. It needs to look like this. And then we have X over 121.7. That's your proportion. We use that to help generate the equation. So this tells us to write the equation, it's 100 times x equals 120 times 121.7. I need to solve for x here. And in our current lesson, we're solving for a specific variable. That's what I am doing here. So you don't want to leave it like this. So the specific variable is going to be x equals, and here's the equation to represent that, 120 over times 121.7, and divide all of that by 100. And so I have a calculator to do that. So once you do that, this is called the equation. This is what I'm looking for. And you know that if you took good notes, and there's several of us that did, we scored hundreds on this because we did this right. This is not the equation. This is just your scratch work. That's going to give us the equation. And there it is. Once you get it in terms of a specific variable, which is our next lesson, then you need to pick up your calculator. I always like to turn on the fraction key, alpha x, multiply times 120. Let me go 121.7. Close my parentheses, put the 100 on the bottom, press enter, and I get this amount, 100, and x is equal to 146.04, which pretty much it's just going to be 146. Hey, that's just a solution to an equation. It doesn't mean anything until I put it back into this. By the way, the unit of measure is miles. This is the quantity. We're counting miles here. So this, x is equal to 146 miles. But wait, there's more. I need you to fill in all the parts, and there's this part right here that's missing. It's the increase. We know the increase as a percent is 21.7, but we need to know what the increase is here. We're going to go, that's what this lesson's about, percent increase, and we need to know what the numerical value is to represent that. And that is an increase of 26 miles, plus 26 miles. If you wanted to put the miles in there, more power to you. Hey, this is what a complete model looks like. Now, when you look at this and you look at your paper, it needs to look like this, okay? Don't be doing minimum work, because you need to be complete. That's what algebra is, representing everything, showing all your work, following a process and algorithm. So I'm going to encourage you to continue to try to do problems like this. I want to thank those people that did it right the first time. Congratulations to you. You're right on track. The rest of us, we need to get there. So good luck. We'll see you in class.